My name is Annie and I'll be your host this morning. Today we have a rescheduled presenter. Sonja Meehan is here to talk. Her presentation is titled Clutter 101, Learning to Thrive with Less Stuff, which is an important lesson that I need to take. My garage is packed full of a lot of stuff, and my desk here in the library is stacked high with books and papers and crafts and all sorts of random stuff. So I'm super excited to hang in the wings and listen to this presentation today. So I'll pass it over to Sonja. Thank you, Annie. Okay, so again, as Annie said, my name is Sonja, and I am a professional organizer and declutterer. I'm living here in La Crosse, working in the general area. I own Simply Thriving Organization, that's my business, and I am a member of the National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals, NAPO for short. I always want to say National Association of Professional Organizers, but they changed it to include productivity people. And I really love helping people simplify their lives through home organization and decluttering. I get really excited about it. This is what I love to do. I know many of you are probably here because you don't love organizing and decluttering. But I actually get really excited about it. A lot of programs that you come to will give you handouts. I do not do that, and I do that deliberately because if I give you handouts, you will take those handouts home, and what will happen to them? They become clutter. I have never given out handouts at my programs, but I have still at clients' houses found notes that they have taken from my program. And so we're going through and then we're like, oh, that looks familiar. And like, oh, we took that, or like my business card, we'll find that in there, it's in their clutter. So I do not do that, but this program will be, it is being recorded. It will be available on the YouTube channel, correct? And you can always ask me any questions, contact me, you can email me, you can call me, you can text me. I have business cards on the back table. Feel free to grab one. I'm happy to answer questions anytime. So we're going to cover 4 general areas today. By the way, you might notice my slides are pretty simple. Again, I do that on purpose because even visual clutter is clutter. So we're going to cover 4 things. First, we're going to talk about what clutter is and what it's not. We're talking about how clutter affects us and how you can control clutter, and then what do you do with the stuff that you have decluttered. At any point, I might ask questions sometimes like, does anybody have this kind of clutter or whatever? You can raise your hand. You don't have to. You can have all of these kinds of clutter and never tell me about it, and it's okay. But also, there is no need to be embarrassed. You are not alone if you have clutter. Believe me, many people have clutter. Okay, so we're just starting with what is clutter, just the basics of it. And each of my sections starts with a quote that I really like. I love this one. Clutter is nothing more than postponed decisions. So when you have things in your home that shouldn't be there, it's a postponed decision. You are putting off deciding where to put it or to get rid of it, whether that's through donation or throwing it in the trash, whatever. You are postponing the decision on what to do with that. And so I love this, thinking about all clutter is just postponing decisions. Okay, so I've got a few things we're going to go through, just a quick kind of tests to see when you're thinking about something, if it's clutter or not. So first of all, if you don't love it, need it, or want it, then it might be clutter. Is anybody familiar with Marie Kondo? She's got this, does it spark joy thing. I don't love that because there are things that we have to have that just don't spark joy. I mean, I've got a set of knives in my kitchen. They don't spark joy, but I need them because I cut things. So I'm not big on the sparking joy question, but this love, need, and want pretty much covers everything. If you don't love it, you don't need it, and you don't want it, why have it? Okay, if it interferes with your daily routine, it might be clutter. So, let's say when you are leaving in the morning to go to the grocery store or go to wherever you're going, and you can't find your keys because they're in the clutter, then that's clutter. It's interfering with your daily routine. There's some laughing. I'm wondering if there are people who can't find their keys sometimes. Does that sound familiar to anyone? So if it's interfering with those routines, it might be clutter. If it makes it hard for you to find things, it might be clutter. So if you know you have a Christmas platter somewhere in your house, but you can't find it, the stuff that's preventing you from finding that might be clutter. Okay, and sometimes that happens, right? I actually have clients who go out and buy things because they can't find what they know they have. And sometimes it's expensive things. Oh, look, the arrows are working again. Okay, if you feel stressed when you look at it, then it might be clutter. So if you're looking around your home and the things that you are seeing don't make you feel happy, but they are making you feel stressed, then it's probably clutter that you're looking at. Because if it's making you happy, then you want it there, you love it there. It's not clutter. And also, by the way, everybody has different clutter tolerances. And my clutter tolerance is very low. But other people have a higher clutter. There is no right answer. I am not telling you to get rid of everything in your house. You find a level that works for you. If you have to move it to do everyday tasks, it might be clutter. So I know a lot of people who cannot eat a meal at their table because there's clutter on it without having to pile everything up, move it onto the counters, then they eat, and then after the meal, they move everything back onto the table. So if you're having to shuffle things around to do everyday tasks, then it might be clutter. Okay, this is we all laugh at this one, but it's true, right? If you don't even know what's in that pile, then it's probably clutter, and this is what I do, this is my job, and I still sometimes will have a pile of clutter somewhere, in my basement or something like that. And when you get to that point, sometimes you can just take a whole pile and move it out. You don't even need to look at it. So clutter is a visual to-do list. When you're looking at clutter, every single item that you see is an item on a to-do list. It is something that has to be put away or donated or fixed or thrown away. Every single thing that you see is on a to-do, it's a to-do list, and that's why it stresses us out so much, because we're seeing all of these tasks. Does anybody feel less stressed when they go on vacation and they stay in a hotel? Because there's nothing there for you to do. You don't see anything that you have to put away or wash or fix. Okay, here are some things though that clutter is not. And this is super, super important for any of you that have clutter to remember. Clutter is not a reflection of your character. You are not a bad person if you have clutter. I did one of these library programs a couple of years ago, and one of the gentlemen in the group said, my sister told me a dirty house is a dirty mind. And he was carrying that with him for years and years, and he was beating himself up over this, thinking he's got a dirty mind because he has clutter in his house. This is not a reflection of your character if you have clutter. It is just a problem to be solved. That's it. It is not shameful. There is nothing to be ashamed of. There is nothing to be embarrassed of. And it is absolutely not a reason to beat yourself up. Do not beat yourself up if you have clutter. It is not helpful. It is not productive. You just think, the problem I need to solve, right? If your brakes go out on your car, you're not gonna beat yourself up over this. It's just a problem that needs to be solved.
Okay, so how does clutter affect us? We kind of touched on this a little bit before, but
We'll talk more in depth about it. So first of all, here's another quote that I absolutely love. Your home should be the antidote to stress, not the cause. You should go into your home and instantly feel relaxed. You should not walk into your home and instantly tense up because you're looking at clutter. Okay, how clutter harms us. I've broken this down into 4 different ways. Over here, we've got physical. So this is super interesting. This is actually, they did research about this. And they found a connection between clutter and unhealthy food choices. So this is what they did. They had 2 kitchens. One was cluttered, one was not. And they had people sit in the kitchens and they had a couple of plates available, one with like apple slices and one with like donuts or something. And they found that the people in the cluttered kitchen were more likely to eat the unhealthy choice. And the people in the uncluttered kitchen were more likely to eat a healthy choice. Super weird, right? Also, another study found a connection between cluttered bedrooms and poor sleep. So for whatever reason, people who sleep in cluttered bedrooms tend to have a harder time going to sleep and have a harder time staying asleep. Okay, so also clutter can harm us in mental ways. It can make us feel stressed, anxious, or depressed. And this is a tricky one because also things like anxiety and depression make you more likely to have clutter. And so it's kind of this cycle where you're more likely to have the clutter and the clutter makes you feel worse. It also increases the stress hormone cortisol. And I don't know if you guys know what the stress hormone cortisol is connected to. Does anybody know? Belly fat. Yeah, so if your cortisol levels are really high, you're more likely to have belly fat. It also can affect your focus and your working memory. Okay, relationships. Some of you may have had this experience. It can cause conflict with partner, kids, and roommates, or anybody that you live with, or if you have adult kids that come and visit you. I am guilty of getting on my parents' case when I go and visit them because they have some clutter. And I really try to bite my tongue because it's their business, it's their house, but oh my goodness. And so sometimes we butt heads up a little bit over it. And it can make it difficult to have guests. I have a lot of the people that contact me say one of the reasons why they want to make changes is because they can't have guests over because their homes are too cluttered. Either because it is physically, there's no place to sit, or because they feel shame and embarrassment about it. Okay, and then also financial, we talked about when you can't find something, sometimes you end up buying another thing. And if this is happening all the time, this is affecting you financially, even if it's just a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there, it adds up. The client that I had, by the way, anything I tell you about clients, they've given me permission to share. I have a strict confidentiality policy. But I do have clients who say, go ahead, go ahead. One of my clients, I love this. She said, there's no shame in my game. You go ahead and tell anybody, I don't care. But I do have a client who could not find her very expensive, very nice camera, like a camera, you know, not like a little click and shoot, but like a good camera. And she had to buy another one because she owns a business and she has to take pictures of the items that she sells, and she had to go out and buy another one. Mm-hmm. It also affects us with time. All of that time that you spend looking for things adds up. And so we're losing time if we're constantly looking for things in our clutter. I was telling Annie before, I realized that so I think for Mondays at Maine, is that the, I think it says 50 and up. Is that what it is? And I realized that I now am in the demographic. I can come to Mondays at Maine because I turned 50 last year. So this group is, many of you may be in a time of your life where you're thinking about aging in place or moving. Either way, clutter is going to affect that. But if you are hoping to age in place, or if you are aging in place, these are some ways that decluttering is going to help you. First of all, it reduces risk of trips and falls. If your home is clear, then there are fewer things to trip on. You also will have improved mobility. You'll be able to move around your home easier. If you have big bulky furniture with lots of things piled on it, it's more difficult to get around. If you need to use a walker or a wheelchair or a cane, also clutter can get in the way and you need more space to move through your home. Also, better visibility of items. If you have so many things that you can't see everything, then you don't even really know what's there. And easier accessibility of items. You don't want to be, I just made it into this demographic and I already don't want to be climbing up ladders and, getting things. So the less you have, the easier it is to store in ways that's accessible. Also, when you have less clutter, you will have less stress, which of course helps in any situation. And also social engagement. Social engagement is so important if you are aging in place so that you aren't becoming isolated. And if you aren't able to have people over, or you don't want to have people over because you're embarrassed, then it is more difficult for you to stay socially engaged.
Okay, so how can you control your clutter? What can you do? Because so often, people that I talk to say, I don't know what to do. I know I have too much clutter, but I don't know what to do with it. I don't know where to start. It's almost
paralyzing. A lot of people, it's so stressful that they're almost in fight, flight, or freeze, and they're frozen. They just don't know what to do. Okay, another quote. The first step in crafting the life you want is to get rid of everything you don't. And so if you think about it that way, not that you are depriving yourself when you let go of things, but you're being very intentional about what you have in your home and your life. It really makes sense that you don't want everything. If it's not giving you the life that you want, then get rid of it. I want you to think about going home after this program and you open the door and your sink is overflowing. What is the first thing that you're going to do? Turn the water off, right? You're not going to grab a mop and start mopping up. Because if you're mopping up and the water's still running, you're not making any progress, right? So I tell my clients to think about this when they're starting work on decluttering. If you're just mopping the water without turning the water off, you're not making any progress. If you're just decluttering, but you're still bringing lots of things in, you're also not going to make a lot of progress. So here are some things to think about when you're trying to turn the water off. Stop taking freebies. So I was at Earth Fair 2 weekends ago. Did anybody else go to Earth Fair? Okay, so lots of vendor tables and lots of places have freebies on the tables. They have pens and pencils and stickers and whatever. If you are in a situation like that, and there are things that you truly need and you truly will use, by all means take them. But if you are taking it just because like, oh, it's free, oh yeah, but then you're just gonna go home and shove it in a drawer and never use it, just don't bother taking it. Because at some point, anything that comes into your house, you are going to have to, at some point, deal with it. Either use it, throw it away, donate it, or leave it for somebody else to deal with. And some things just aren't worth it. Only shop with a list. So when you go into a store, have a list. If you don't have a list, it's really tempting to see things and I could use that, that'll go in the cart, that'll go in the cart. But then you end up with a cart full of things that you never meant to buy and you don't really need. Be careful with sale items. I know it's so tempting to see something and think like, that's a really good deal, I can't pass it up. But if you don't need it or don't even really want it, you're actually losing money when you buy it instead of saving money. Because you're spending money on something you don't want or need. Avoid stocking up. Unless you live really far away from any stores, you don't really need to stock up. And I know there are unique cases where like, okay, I go through this very quickly and if I don't use it, I, could have a medical emergency. That's fine. I'm just talking about the things like, you don't need to buy, 8 white turtlenecks because you wear white turtlenecks. You can buy maybe 2 white turtlenecks and wear them until they need to be replaced and then go out and buy. I mean, white turtlenecks aren't going anywhere, right? I mean, they will always be available. And avoid shopping as entertainment. So I know sometimes it's tempting, like, I don't have anything to do, I'll just shop. But that's another way that you end up with items that you don't really want or need. Okay, so this is a quote from me. Because I think it's a good one. It cannot clutter your house if it never enters your house. You really do have complete control. If it does not come in your house, it cannot. It is impossible for it to clutter your house if you do not let it in. If you've decided you're going to start decluttering, the best place I think to start is to set your purpose. Tell yourself, and it's even better if you write it down so that you can't forget. Even just put it on a Post-it and pop it on the wall somewhere. Know why you're doing it. Because when you get to an item that you can't decide about, you can go back to that purpose. If you are decluttering because you want to be able to have friends and family over, then write that on a Post-it note, stick it on the wall, and when you can't decide, say, oh, I want to have friends and family over, which is more important? Is this item more important than making space for friends and family? It will help you make those decisions that are a little trickier. Start small. Do not start with your garage or your basement or your attic. Start with a drawer or a shelf or one bin. If you start too big, it will take a long time to see progress and it will feel frustrating. If you start with a drawer, you will see progress in 20 minutes and it will feel so good and you will want to keep going. Even if it's another day, another week, you will want to do more. If you get 20 minutes into a garage project and it looks the same or even worse, because oftentimes it looks worse before it gets better, then it might feel so frustrating to you that you just quit. So start small, start easy. Again, start with something that you know the decisions are going to be easy. Do not start with sentimental things. Don't say, okay, I'm going to start with this bin of cards that I got from my husband when we first started dating. Don't do it. Those are hard decisions. When you are decluttering, those decisions get easier and easier and easier the more you make them. So save those for the end. That is one thing Maria Kondo and I agree on. Or you could start with the most annoying thing. So if you are super annoyed with, like, every morning when you get dressed, you can't decide what to wear because you have too many clothes and they won't fit in the closet, the drawers won't close. If that's really annoying to you, that might be a good place to start. Okay, and this is super important, start with your things, don't start with somebody else's things. Um, so true story, when I was thinking about starting this business, I needed to do some work for people to kind of build up a portfolio and just, get the process down. And so I asked my mom if I could come and spend a weekend and do some decluttering with her. And she said, yeah, you bet, you can start with Dad's office. And I was like, no, you can't just throw somebody else under the bus. Now, my dad's office does need to be decluttered. I'm not saying it doesn't, but start with your things. Don't try to start with somebody else's things because they don't take kindly to it typically. I have worked, by the way, with couples where only one person is decluttering and the other person says, no, don't touch my things. And so that's fine. You have to be ready for it. Okay, so then you have to think about what kind of strategy you're going to use. And there is no single strategy. People are different and different strategies work for different people. So these are just some strategies that you could use. You could work for a set amount of time. So you could set a timer and say, I'm going to work for a half an hour today. You can even set a timer for 10 minutes, 5 minutes. But so you could decide on the time that you're going to work. You could work for a set number of items. So you could say, I am going to find 10 things to donate today. And you can walk through your house with a bag and just find 10 things. You can work one bin at a time, whether you already have bins that are full of things, or if you take an empty bin and just sweep a bunch of stuff into it, and then take that and sit down with it and work that way. You can work one category at a time. So you might say, I really need to declutter my books. So today I'm just going to look at books and pull out books that I want to pass on. You can also work one area at a time. So you could say, I'm going to work on my kitchen. Start when you do, look, I'm going to work on my kitchen, but then start like one cupboard or do one cupboard at a time. So any of these strategies can work. It's just a matter of what works for you. And you can try out a bunch of, try them out, see what works for you. And here are some helpful tips. Buddy up. People tend to stick with their decluttering a lot more if they have somebody else either who's decluttering with them or that they're just checking in with. So it may even be your sister who you just send a text to and say, hey, I donated 3 bags of stuff today or whatever. Or it may be somebody who physically comes and sits in your house with you while you go through your things. Music, podcasts, and audiobooks are fantastic while you're working because you're pairing something that you may not love doing with something that's enjoyable. So if there's some kind of music that you love listening to, put it on while you work. If you like listening to audiobooks or podcasts, put it on. You think like, okay, I'm going to listen to this one episode, and when the episode's done, then I'm done and work while I listen. If you are working on something that's portable, or you have a like TV or a tablet or something that's portable, you can watch TV or movies while you're working on it. Set a timer. That is super helpful for a lot of people because they know when the timer goes off, they're done. And there's always like, the option to renew. So when the timer goes off, if you have momentum and you're feeling good, you can always reset the timer. This is really like flipping how you think about it. Instead of deciding what you're getting rid of, choosing what you're keeping sometimes works really well. It's almost like shopping your own things. So if you're thinking about your clothing, instead of saying, well, I need to get rid of this, I need to get rid of this, say, I love this, I wear it all the time, that has to stay. And pull out the things that you want to keep. And also this one is really interesting, but it does work. If you don't touch things, you're more likely to decide to let them go. So if you're really trying to get rid of things, have somebody else hold something up Say, and then you can say yes or no, instead of you touching it. So when you touch it, no idea why, but you are more likely to keep it. I do this with my clients too. Oftentimes I will hold things up and they just say yes or no. Do that with my kids too.
I did tell them that I do it. I have two kids, they're 13 and 9.
The 13-year-old doesn't love to get rid of things and the 9-year-old does. And so I use different strategies for them because they're different kids. Okay, so if you, sorry, let me get a drink. Okay, so if you're decluttering, you're gonna end up with stuff that has to go.
So what do you do with it?
Well, you have options. This, by the way, is for anything that isn't just garbage. So garbage obviously goes in the garbage. You can donate it directly to people who need the items. And there are ways to do this. I know, there are Facebook groups like Helping Hands, and Buy Nothing, where you can post things that you have. And somebody who needs it will come and pick it up from you. And you can also, like, for example, at the library, you guys have the little free, like, hygiene pantry, right? That you also have books that you can donate. Puzzles can go up to the puzzle exchange. And you guys take hats and mittens.
We take hats and mittens. We take, gently used clothing in the winter. Some of the people are in need more of winter type clothing. And plant cuttings. So if one of your things is plant, you have a space upstairs on the second floor where you can take your plant cuttings.
And plants, it's kind of easy to end up with plant clutter if you love plants because they keep growing. And people who love plants tend to have a lot of them, but then they grow a lot. So you can get them directly to those people, or you can offer the items for free to people in groups who want them. So you can just put them up like on the Buy Nothing groups. You can donate to an organization, so any of the thrift stores, there are other organizations who will take donations of things. I tried at one point to come up with a spreadsheet of all of the organizations in the area and what they take and what they don't take. The problem is that it changes frequently, what they take based on the season, based on what they have, based on any special projects that they have going on. Yeah.
I went to a presentation done by the Restore a year ago. They said, do not throw anything away, bring it to us. Example, myself, I collected baby food jars to do this project. Like, they said, this is it. One day my husband and I were taking all this stuff. He said, well, there's no way in hell they're gonna want. First thing they said, baby food jars, people look for them all the time. I mean, it was amazing, but the things that you get rid of that you don't think anybody's gonna want.
100%. I once posted, we have hard water, like probably all of us do. And our tea kettle was getting a lot of buildup on it. And so I Googled how do you get rid of hard water buildup on a tea kettle. And I saw denture cleaning tab. So I got some, and of course I got the smallest box available, which is huge. And I tried like 2 of them and it didn't work. I was like, so that's what I ended up doing, vinegar. But it didn't work. And so I'm like, okay, now I have this box of denture cleaning tabs, and I posted it on Buy Nothing and somebody came and picked it up. And so, yeah, a lot of things.
The Restore takes electronics and they take them all apart and they take all of them.
Yeah.
And they just turn around and sell that stuff. So it's really a good place to make something.
Yes, absolutely. I do have, I think the next slide will say this, but I do have on my website a resources page, and it has links to a bunch of different organizations in the area, including the Restore. And it links to, if they have a page that specifically is about donations, it links to that page.
And if it doesn't, it links to their homepage. But it's a great spot to go if you've got something and you're thinking, where can I take this? Because some of those things, and like even like the Children's Museum takes some like craft items. That's another thing, the maker's space, of it, it's a creation space. I always want to call it the maker space.
Pausing craft.
Yes,
Because of the remodel.
yes, but eventually,
You'll do that.
yes, yes. So I do have that on my website, where you can, click through to different organizations and see what kinds of things they'll take. But it changes often. Or sell the items. I personally hate selling things. I don't wanna deal with it. I don't wanna, like, I just don't mess with it. So I typically just either donate it or I post it on Buy Nothing or, give it to somebody I know if they need it. But some people really enjoy selling things. If that's something that you like to do, by all means, sell things. You can do it through a yard sale or you can sell on Facebook Marketplace. I also have benefited a lot from things that have been given to us, especially for our kids. And so I feel like I kind of want to pass on that goodwill to other people. But if you like selling things, by all means, sell away. All right, so this is what, as the resources page on my website is what I was talking about. I also have my website listed up here, but I also have business cards in the back, so feel free to grab that. And I think the next one's just questions. So any questions, I'm happy to answer. Yes.
Do you have some good tips on helping hoarder get rid of or to begin
Yeah,
the
so,
process?
so true hoarding disorder, like diagnosed hoarding disorder, I am not qualified to help because that is a mental health issue more than a clutter issue. So I would say if it is true hoarding disorder, the best place is with a therapist, to start. Does that help? No. Is it a true hoarding? Is it
Well,
like hoarding diagnosis?
It's to the point where I think if someone, the wrong person came in the house, they would report it.
Yeah.
And then it would be a big problem.
So is the person willing to get rid of anything? Does it-
I've never asked because I don't want to hurt their feelings or be worried that I lose their friendship.
And it's so tricky, because there is so much shame and embarrassment. And it is really hard to go into a friend's house and say, well, you got a lot of stuff. You can use this program as a talking point, say, hey, I went to a program at the library the other day, it was really interesting, it was about clutter. Not like as just a means of kind of slowly introducing the topic, and the friend may say, yeah, I've got a lot of problems with clutter, which opens up some dialogue around that. I do know with true hoarding disorder, you cannot just go in and throw things away, because that causes a lot of distress for them.
The only person's control. Nothing else.
And it is, so I do not work with hoarding disorder. And I've had people ask me before, well, what do you say when hoarders contact you? So hoarders don't contact me because they don't want to get rid of their things. Like this is, they are not ready. They are not ready for that. And even with non-hoarding disorder, somebody has to be truly ready. I cannot go into their house and say, you need to get rid of all of this stuff. They have to be really ready. So I wish I could give you more direction. I think just being a supportive friend, and when it seems like that friend is ready, being willing to, like, if that friend says, I'm really stressed about this stuff, or the city is after me because of this stuff, you can say, hey, can I help you find some resources? But that's tricky. Yes,
You think of the idea of taking a picture of something that you really, really are attached to, but you would really like to get rid of it, just to remember it.
yes, I absolutely recommend that all the time. A lot of people feel like the items are memories. And they're not, although I have worked with, somebody who had a traumatic brain injury, who her memory was affected, and so she was, very hesitant to let go of things that she felt like that might let go of the memory. But for most people, the memory isn't the item, right? I mean, I have a client who, told me about a table saw that she used to, that was her dad's. And she remembers being a child and him saying, come and work, let me show you how to use the saw, and working with him. And she'd tell me every detail about where it was in the house and the stool that she stood on to use it. And then she said, I'm so mad he gave it away before I could take it. And she said, like, that's a memory I wanted to keep. I said, but you have that memory. You just told me all the details about that memory. It's not the saw that's the memory. Your memory is in here. But taking a picture sometimes gives you that little bit of reassurance that I still have it and then I can let it go. There's actually an app that you can not only take pictures of things, but you can record yourself telling the story of it. And so then you have the picture and I would love, yes, and I would love to tell you the name of that app, but I can't think of it right now. But if you want to know, email me or call me or text me and I can find it for you. Yes.
So if somebody hires that a bunch of stuff along with them now, you take it.
That's an excellent question. I will take, when I do an in-person session, at the end of the session, I will take a load of donations as long as it fits in my car. I take it to Goodwill. I know Goodwill has some issues. I really do. I know there are like local places that are fantastic and wonderful, but Goodwill takes almost everything and they have the best hours for donation. So for me, when I'm making frequent trips, I can't do I have to wait until Monday at 4 to drop this off because I may have another client where I have to fill it up. So I do take a carload to Goodwill for donation.
I have a husband who was again.
Okay.
He's got a room in the basement that's full of screws and nuts and bolts and nails. Will you clean that out and take them?
I can take them. I do think that kind of stuff would be better at the restore. Yep, at the restore.
But you would want to go through and separate them. Wouldn't you?
It depends. I'd have to take a look at it, but some of it you just put as is in the box or the bag and you drop it off.
That's my problem. I can do it. But I don't know what I'm following.
Yeah, yeah. Stuff like that, restore, but yes, absolutely, you
What
can,
went up at the,
on 16,
okay.
yeah, they take all of that like home,
Let me just put it in.
yeah. But you can always, I have the resources page on my website, but you can also always call me or send me an email or text me if you've got something and you think like, no, I might not have the answer for you, but I will look into it. I will try to find the answer, because sometimes people contact me and they say like, I have blank, where can I donate it? And it's in like an kind of an odd item. I will try my best. Okay.
With the resale store, you can set up appointments and then you come to your house and pick up the item.
Yes, but I think that's only for big items, right?
No. These are donation.
On the situation. Okay, that's really good to know. So she said the restore sometimes will come and pick up. I think mainly they do it for large items, but she said depending on your situation, if you have like a mobility issue or whatever, they may do that. That's really good to know. Thank you. So it's worth a call. Okay, so I think I have two.
My question is about things that are so personal. The example, because I'm trying to do some decluttering, is the hand stitch, cross stitch, counted cross stitch birth announcements of my children that one of my bridesmaids made for each of my kids. So there's their name, their weight and everything, and I don't know how to just, they don't want them.
And that's the problem,
Right.
right?
But
None
it's
of the kids want the
No,
stuff.
Right, but that's such a personal thing.
Yes.
So do you just take it apart and throw that away? I mean, I don't know. I don't wanna donate it somewhere for somebody to read.
Right, that is not, you wouldn't wanna donate.
So, that's paid.
And then the kids.
You don't have to worry about it.
So that is one of the options I was gonna say. You can,
After you're gone. I have something. If you got something that you don't want. Put it on the first.
yes,
And I have another thing to say. If you have a clutter organization happening, the person that comes to your house and gets after you for that, that's not your problem, that's their problem.
that is their
So
problem.
there's another mental health problem that they need to deal with because they're trying to tell you what to do with your house.
Yep.
So if they're having anxiety and stuff when they come to your house, well, it's not my problem, it's their.
Right, and everybody has a different,
Let it go.
yes, everybody has a different tolerance for the amount of stuff, right?
I have something to say. 100-year-old Christmas ornament, you can put a picture of them, it doesn't help them then get rid of. It just doesn't help them with pictures, because there's certain things that you need to like give to your children or don't take if they want it. Not take a picture of it, because it doesn't help get rid of the item, because there's some things you have to see.
It's very different, yes, and it is very different for different people too. So it sounds like for you, the picture is not enough. But, and it might be dependent on the item, right? So it may be like these 100-year-old Christmas ornaments, the picture's not enough, but this, right, but this dresser, maybe a picture is enough. One thing I also suggest with sentimental items is decide how much of your space you want to give up to them. And then once it's full, so either you don't keep anything else or you swap out, right? You put one in, but you take one out.
I have something else to say.
Yep.
You know, and as we get older, I've seen so many of my friends or older friends go from like their spouse dying to their kids coming and cleaning all their homes and getting rid of all their stuff, and they leave this person devastated. Because they got rid of all their stuff, that's not even fair or even nice. And then you see them go to the next step where they're in assisted living, and they're living in one little studio room or in a nursing home, and they have a little box of treasured items left of their whole life, and that's all they have. So as we go through this age of over 50, I would say keep what they want, and I mean, organize it or whatever, if it makes you unhappy, that's not organized, but keep what you want, because you're gonna come to a time in your life where everybody's gonna take everything from you, and you're not gonna have nothing. So,
And that,
you live long enough.
that does happen.
Yeah.
I am, in my business, I am very much a no pressure. I ask a lot of questions to kind of get at the reason why people are keeping things.
But I know it's a lot of people, when they come in, they say, oh, you don't really use that, you know.
And that's up to you, right?
Yeah.
It's not up to them. If it's their house, their decisions, and our house, your decisions. But it will, right, at some point,
Getting rid of your coach because, you know, you gotta need space to walk around, that's gonna.
but if you are hoping to age in place,
Yeah.
I mean, the reality,
I understand.
yeah, the reality is that some of our houses, you're not gonna be able to get a wheelchair through.
Yeah.
You just can't. And so it's either get a smaller couch
Yes.
or you don't age in place, or you gotta move. Yeah. Yes,
Okay, I got a different point. Yesterday's clutter is collectible. You've always heard the story, all my mom threw all my baseball cards. If I only kept them,
Now that we're filling it out.
and it's so popular now, antique roadshow and these picture show, that like can't throw nothing away. I heard that all the time with my dad. Well, if I only kept that,
Yeah, if only we had a crystal ball, right? So
Right.
that we could know what's worth keeping and what isn't. The truth is it's a crapshoot. I mean, like, maybe that will end up being worth something and maybe it won't. I mean, like, I don't know if you guys remember the Beanie Baby. Yeah, I mean, like, they were saying, oh, Beanie Babies, like, keep the Beanie Babies and keep the tags on, because you're gonna be rolling in the dough in 30 years. And that never happened. But you're right, there are some things that,
so when you come in, do you ever come across that stuff? You call in heat shops or
not,
don't you will or?
so I don't typically find things that, if the client thinks it's something that is worth something, I do have a connection of a woman who will come and look at it and she will offer to buy it, but what she's doing is she's offering to buy it to sell. So she's making a profit. So you can always, and anybody that I work with is always welcome to take things and find out how much they're worth. I can't tell them how much things are worth because I don't, that's not my area of expertise. But you also, I mean, you just have to decide what's more important, the space in your house or the potential value decades down the road. And that's a personal decision. Some people may say, the potential value is worth more to me than that space, and so then they keep it. I think that's, did you have a question?
I like to keep memories, cards, and letters. Anything at your house. So what I've done is now I've got a certain section in my house and I put a note all the way after that. Once in a while, I'll look.
Yes, that is, whoever is going to be dealing with your house after you die is going to love you for that. Oh, okay, she said, she has cards and sentimental things, and what she has started doing is putting them in boxes and labeling them, throw away when they're dying. So that sorting is already done. So whoever is dealing with her house when she is gone knows that box can just go. Yes, and and that she knew it wasn't going to mean anything to them and it can just go. And that is a kindness that you are doing for whoever's cleaning out your things.
Right.
Yes,
I was just gonna share what I've been doing addressing sentimental and, for Christmas, we have family members from both coasts come, so it's always been a big gathering. And, every year what we do for Christmas gifts is to pick some area to share. And so for instance, I went through my jewelry, I said, I want you to take something that will bring you joy and make you think of me, because they all have stories.
yes,
And I think I have a collection of boxes from, throughout my life, and I put stories in them. And so that's what I've been doing, a lot of stories.
that is so wonderful. And that too is such a kindness for your family. I mean, not only do they know what is important to you and, but you also know what's important to them and they have a say in what they're taking. I love that. That's lovely. Any other questions? I think we're almost, do we need to be done? Oh, okay, great. Any other questions? Yes.
No, I'm the younger one. But I will say what was super nice for my parents with the sentimental is they sorted whatever they were done with from their memory that was child related for us. All of us kids got our bins already. We now are responsible for keeping up those sentimental things that belong to us. So we make those decisions as we go throughout our life.
Yes, I agree with that completely too. I mean, so they've reached the point in their lives where it's not their things anymore, it's yours.
Yours are like elementary, kindergarten projects.
Yes, and so pass that on to you, let you decide. And that way nobody's upset with anybody. You made the decision if it stays or goes.
Yes, because I guarantee you in 30 years, I don't want to be going through a whole house.
No.
I really don't.
No, and also I can speak for myself. I see a lot of parents that want to save every single thing their kid made. And I know
as an adult, I don't want that stuff of mine. Maybe a couple of things, so I can look back on it and say, oh, wasn't I cute? But I don't need to see every single paper I ever, touched in elementary school. So, curating it too. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you so much. I will be here, so if anybody wanted to talk to me just individually one-on-one, I will be here for a little bit, so feel free.